Hey there. Happy Monday. Welcome back to Ask Amy. Today I have a question from Judi. Judi says, my worries around food, which have led to binge eating, have worsened since my daughter was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes 5 years ago. To help manage her blood sugar levels, I have to do a lot of planning around what to eat and when to eat, and I try to support her by eating in a similar way. This leads to very structured eating plans. She says, my daughter is now 16 and also binge eats and is overweight because she's so burdened by her disease and the pressures of managing her blood sugar levels. Food has become her escape too, even though it's also a major part of the problem. So, Judi, I wish I could talk to you because I want to ask you some more questions and I'd love to really see more about what's going on here, but I'm going to say some stuff that I hope will be helpful. Um, I kind of want you to see that eating like food plans, yes, for health reasons there are certain ways that she should be eating, and amazing that you try to eat that way as well to be on board with her. But kind of just in how you're asking the question, it almost sounds like it looks to you like a food plan, or even her having diabetes is causing all of this stress and overwhelm, and consequently the binge eating. And I just want to take it a little deeper and have you see that a food plan can't make someone binge. There are many times when you could be on the plan and you're planning what you're going to eat and you're doing all that. You're kind of choosing the healthy things, and it's easy, right? Sometimes it's just a no-brainer. Probably sometimes it's just not even on your mind. Other times it feels super, super hard and it feels very restrictive and very rigid and very forced. And when it feels that way, often you're going to want to rebel. Of course you are, right? That's not about you. That's not about your daughter. That's about a human being with a brain. When we're told to do something, everything on our brain kind of says, no, you can't tell me what to do. And it wants to go in the opposite direction. So that's a brain thing, but really, like, it's not an all the time brain thing. It's not a foregone conclusion. It's something that you and your daughter can kind of be aware of. That, yeah, to the extent that there's a bunch of rules, sometimes our mind might rebel a little bit. But again, don't ignore the opposite side, which is that even when you're eating in a relatively healthy way, sometimes that's super easy. Sometimes there's absolutely no problem at all. And what's going on there? Because again, if we're going to say that the food plan and the restrictive eating and the diabetes is causing the binge eating, it should be causing it all the time. And it's not. I know it's not. So you want to get curious about those times when things are fine, when they're not that big a deal, because that starts to show us a more accurate, bigger picture of things. So food plans and structure and all of that, they can't make us, they don't, it's not like this quick leap from, oh no, here's a restrictive plan, or here's a, even not a restrictive plan, here's a food plan, to bam, now I'm binge eating, or oh, here's a diagnosis of diabetes, or here's, you have to test your blood sugar, to bam, now I'm binge eating. We want to get curious about what's in between those things. And what's in between those things is how things are looking to us and how we're feeling moment by moment by moment in real time, and what we see about our experience. So I would love for you and your daughter to dive into that a little bit, to start to see that we feel this energy that we call thought that moves through us. Thought and feeling moves through us all the time. It's very habitual. It sometimes feels very uncomfortable. Other times it feels amazing. It's all the same energy. It always comes up. We feel it and then it moves on. I would love for you and your daughter to start to see how your brains get going, perhaps when it's like, oh, can't have this food, can't have that thing, got to eat at this time. How that can kind of get your mind a little agitated, because again, we're just giving it some rules. But how even that agitation, that's just this habitual thought. Like, that's a this habitual uh mechanical sort of thing that happens. And that, you know what, you can come to see that. You can see, wow, I'm feeling really overwhelmed. I'm feeling like I have too many rules and I feel really restricted. Look at all this agitation. Look at all this energy. But to start to see that in a little bit of a slowed down way, that's what allows us this space to be with whatever's showing up. I went through years of binge eating too, and I wasn't with that space. I can see that now. It would be like some agitation. I'd push it away. Oh, I just have to eat this way. I just have to follow the rules. So I don't have time for you. I would ignore my feelings. I would push them away. I would tell them they were wrong. I would get mad at them for showing up. And what does that do? That makes them come up even louder. They're just there to be felt and heard and looked at. And when you feel them and look at them and hear them, it's amazing what kind of, I don't know, what kind of relationship you can have with those feelings. So again, like maybe it's hard sometimes. I'm sure it is. I'm sure it's very hard sometimes for her to be thinking about this diagnosis and all the stuff she has to manage and how she's different from other people and all of that. But for her to see that the more her mind's thinking about it, her mind's just getting really agitated, and she can just be with that for a minute. And honestly, when we look at it and we listen and we feel it, it just starts to dissipate. The leap to now suddenly I'm binge eating, that step goes away. It really, really does. That step is there, it's present when we're not feeling what's coming up, when we're in our heads about, again, I'm stuck in this, there's no other choice, this is because of my diabetes, there's no way out of this, it's not fair, I don't want to feel this. That's when it builds up pressure and it starts to feel so personal and real that we need relief somehow. We think we do anyway. We think we need relief somehow, and this is just building because we're not looking at it. That's when we reach for other things that are really effective at very quickly relieving a little bit of pressure. I hope that makes sense. That in between place where I'm telling you to explore with her, I mean, that'll change your life. Like that is really really looking at what's going on behind the surface here, what's going on behind the scenes, because the way that your mind frames it is the way any mind would frame it. It looks like I have to follow these rules, I'm overwhelmed, I binge eat. It's a very high level mind kind of generalized thing. There's so much to see beneath that. I hope that makes sense. It's not just a leap from, oh, I have this hard circumstance to therefore I have this habit. Oh no. There's lots of possibility, lots of room, so much to be with in between those two ends. I also want to just, I'm not a nutritionist or a medical doctor, I'm just saying, I do think there is something to, again, as soon as we give our mind a bunch of rules and it looks like it's very structured eating plan, as you say, of course there's going to be, for at least sometimes, there's going to be a little bit of backlash. Now again, that's not backlash you need to binge eat over. It's backlash you can see something about and see that it isn't so horrible and uncomfortable as it appears. But there might be a little bit of backlash. So on the end of the food plan, I just wonder if there's some space to play with that. Now, I'm sure you've done this. I'm sure you've already thought, how can we make this as pleasurable and non-rigid as possible? I'm sure you have. So that's not really what I'm saying. But I guess I kind of, because I went through this too when I was binge eating, I kind of want you to see how a mind, just so you can see if your mind is doing this, how a mind will get very black or white. So I didn't have diabetes, but I would give myself a very rigid food plan and inevitably fail at my own made up food plan, right? But the failure would be like, I can't take this pressure anymore. I can't follow all my own rules. So then I would binge. It looked like the only thing to do from that place post binge was to jump back on the very rigid food plan. And the very rigid food plan would then start to, all this energy would come up around it. I didn't understand it, so I'd push it away and fight it, and it would lead to another binge. And then that was even more evidence for my mind of how rigid my food plan needed to be, because look at me, I'm out of control. This is the cycle that a mind gets in, where it starts to think, oh, like with anything around control, let me just control it harder, then I'll be okay. Then always, whenever we're trying to control feeling, life, it's all the same thing. When we're trying to control things, there will be a backlash. And usually our mind's best solution was let me control harder. So I just want you to look out for that going on here. I have a sense that there's a bit of that. Maybe you recognize some of that. And just see, you know, maybe the food plan can ease up a little bit because look, you're already not following it. You're already not, if there's binges happening, you're not following the food plan anyway. So it behooves everyone to like kind of even things out. Now a mind will have a field day with that. A mind will say no, and we have to be better than this, and this is what the doctors say, and all of that stuff. But again, look, if there's if it's leading, if all this tension is happening and then you're binging, already the food plan's not being followed perfectly. So maybe play with loosening things up a little bit and just see how that helps you to be with the thoughts and feelings that are showing up, because then they might be a little bit less extreme and kind of easier to ease into this. So I hope that's helpful. There's a million questions I would want to ask to make this more helpful for you and your daughter, but I hope some of this high level stuff resonates in some way, and is helpful for other people too. So thank you so much for sending me your question. You guys can send any questions about anything to AskAmy at thelittleschoolbigchange.com, and I'll be back here every Monday to speak to them. Thanks, everyone. Have a great week.